Our next question deals with similar issues. We'll go to that and you can pick up what that gentleman is saying in the course of that. Our next question comes from Sean Brokenshire.
Thanks, Tony. This is for Angry Anderson. Having travelled with Go Back to Where You Came From to Kabul and felt firsthand the fear of being attacked, and having witnessed the lack of places where you could officially seek asylum within Afghanistan or any of its neighbouring countries, do you now accept that people who flee have no alternative but to keep travelling until they reach a Refugee Convention signatory country like Australia by any means necessary?
Yeah. Until we have a responsible government that puts a responsible structure in place to have those people be able to, first of all, get out of Afghanistan so that their lives are no longer in danger, and whether it's a place established within Afghanistan or in like an intermediary country like Indonesia, where a lot of them go, and the authorities do, to their credit, they sort of look the other way in most cases because there's a lot of Afghans there in this limbo situation. But yes, I agree entirely. I mean, I can understand, having gone there and lived with those people, sat at their tables and eaten their food, met their children, listened to their stories. I understand. I get it. I get it entirely why they get on boats. I just wish they didn't have to. And, I mean, that's just on the humanitarian level alone. I mean, the loss of life is far greater than the official figures will have us believe. Well, again, anecdotal. We spoke to Indonesian fishermen who put the number at, in some cases, maybe 1 in 3 boats, but certainly 1 in 5. Now, if you take 1 in 5, like for every 5 boats or 4 boats that get here, 1 is lost. That's an horrific loss of life. But yes, I agree.
I'm going to interrupt you because your sympathy, which has been generated by going there, doesn't reflect what you said before you went there. Let's quickly remind you and our audience what you said before you took that journey to Afghanistan.
I don't accept the boat people at all. Don't tell me about what a hard time you had. The first thing you've shown me is no sense of respect. End of story. Don't bother. Because as soon as you get here, we're chucking you on a cattle train or a plane or a ship and you're going home.
Now, with respect, that probably does pretty much reflect the government's position, except for the cattle train bit. But, you know, you've changed your position. Why? Why did you say that then and this now?
Because experience is, education is enlightenment. And the one simple dynamic that I didn't understand, which, you know, you can't blame the press for everything, most things, but the one thing that wasn't explained to me as a citizen of this country is the simple dynamics of the situation. And the Hazari people are persecuted. They're Islamic people or Muslims persecuted by other, you know, extremists, thugs hired and paid by the Taliban and other extremist groups in their own country. They actually are declared non-people in their own country. Now, that simple thing, when you actually go there and you start to just understand just a little about the way the cultural structure of the country is, like which we don't here.
So let's quickly ask you this question before I move on to the rest of the panels. Do you believe, having gone and visited the place and seen those things, that governments, successive governments, have played on the ignorance of people about that?
Yeah, yeah. I think they've used or allowed the ignorance. I'm not too sure played is the proper turn of phrase, but the one thing that really, really alarmed all of us that went there, the 3 of us particularly that went to Afghanistan, but it's the same situation in Africa, there is no government so far has put into place a structure that allows these people to not have to get on boats. And still to this day, there's actually no real... There's no avenues where they can go and apply and they can, you know, put their name
the term we hear is these people are queue jumpers. That's the one that's been used most often.
Yeah.
You say there's no queue?
Well, no, I don't agree with that. I think you know when you see, I met some people in Victoria about 5 or 6 years ago, and they were definitely critical of people coming here on boats, African people. and because they were a fragmented family, and they had to wait 5 years of not knowing whether they're going to be reunited. The father had to flee Africa, by the way, to get his 2 sons out so the militia wouldn't press them into service. So he bolted with the kids and left the wife there in a camp. Now, his argument was, why are these people coming here in boats and my wife and my 2 daughters are somewhere in a camp and they are not being considered? You know, he had an argument too.